Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another YouTube video. And to start with, let's just talk about what happened yesterday. We had the FOMC meeting, and the US did publish their crypto asset, I don't know what they call it, framework, or were they strengthening American leadership in digital financial technology article or publication. It came out yesterday. That was quite like, it wasn't vague, it was actually quite direct, but it didn't talk about anything specifically. It was just more of like a framework than anything, which obviously didn't have bullish connotations with it straight away, because why would it? But when you then think about what's going on in the world, the White House tweeted with a picture of Trump and it just said crypto on it. And it's like, as much as we want it to be bullish and we want to send it to the moon, like right now, like how far we've come in the last, well, since I've been in crypto is just incredible. I first bought Bitcoin in 2017 and we're in 2025. In 2017, literally everybody still thought that crypto was a scam. Not a scam, but like used just for the deep web, and it was private money that no one could track. And the developments that we've had in the asset class itself are just astronomical, and to the point where it is probably going to complement the current financial system, if not engulf it, which obviously we're here because we think it will, but it's looking more and more likely that that's going to happen every day, which is just insane. But getting into it, today I'm going to talk about XRP, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin, I'm going to talk about ETH, I'm going to talk about alts. It's the monthly close today. And then the other thing that happened yesterday is that we had the FOMC meeting. Powell left things unchanged, and he was actually hawkish when I thought it was going to be dovish, meaning he was like more bearish for the market when I thought it was going to be more bullish, essentially. And the market reacted badly yesterday. We had a bit of a flush, and we're going to look at that. And then today, so far, we've seen a bit of a bounce, which I think is important as it's the monthly close. So let's have a look at a few things. Start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still trading within this range. There's liquidity above, there's liquidity below. Nothing has changed in that respect. However, I do like the volume that came in at the bottom of this range. And if you want to draw a range on here, let's just get a horizontal line in. You could say that we've just retested the lows of a range. So let's see what happens next here. We've got a lot of liquidity building up here. We haven't managed to break this descending trend line yet. That's what I'll be looking forward to see if we get a strong reaction on a break of that trend line. And I presume we will get a break of that at some point soon. And this is what I've got drawn on. And in regards to just standard on trading different, but you could just bring this line down to like here and just say, look, this is the bottom of the range, like this, like I just showed you essentially. But there's all above here is going to be a lot of stop losses for short positions. So once we start to break 120, you'll probably see a squeeze up to like 122, 125 pretty quick. And that is what liquidity shows us on the daily as well. So that's what I'm looking for really from Bitcoin. That there, just look, you see the liquidity above us and continuing to build up. And now all the way up to like 150. I've not seen this liquidity until today. 153,000, there's liquidity all the way up there. Now, looking at Bitcoin, as I said, it's the monthly close today. Let's have a look what the monthly would look like if we managed to get the close today. I'm going to take all my drawings off just to give you a perspective on how things look like on the monthly time frame. It's difficult to argue anything, but this is bullish. We've just moved back into the overbought area, on the RSI. When we move into these areas, let me just highlight the past where we've moved into these areas. Like in previous cycles, it's here, so that would be here, and then we had all this run up, and in this cycle it was like here we moved, and then we had all that, which doesn't look like loads, but I can tell you that's a big move, 373%. And yes, we dipped into it a couple of times this cycle, so we had one there, then we pushed, and we had one here, and then we pushed. And even the pushes though, I'll just spat again, why do I keep spitting that? But even that is like a 45% move. So if we have anything like the aggression, parabola, euphoria that we've had on previous cycles, it's going to be a significant move to the upside. And that's just for Bitcoin. Now, if we say that this move was well, realistically to the wick 500, but you could say it went a little bit higher. So you could say just say 500% for either ease of maths. And then this cycle, when we first entered, was here. And the move to the top for Bitcoin, and it's not going to be like this because it's more difficult with a larger market cap, or now that the asset is larger. My PC is going nuts again. Is 2,800%. So even if we just average that out, I'd put us in about 1,300% ish. That's like a 10x. And like, do I think we're going to do a 10x from here? No. But even just an average return would give us a 10x. Does it mean that we're going to do that? Absolutely don't think so. But it means that like a large percentage move is definitely not out of the question. Even 130% would take us to like 270k. I think we're going to go 180-ish plus this cycle, potentially to 250. Could go higher. And if we listen to what Arthur Hayes and people like that say, they think towards $1 million by 2028 and $100 trillion market cap for crypto by 2028. And look, I've talked about that with you guys before. I can't say whether they're going to be right or wrong. Like, Arthur Hayes is a smarter man than I. Like, with what he's achieved, it's more than anyone I know. That he's created perpetual swaps for perpetual futures for crypto. As I've talked about before, he was one of the first people to create an exchange. Like, this guy is locked in. Whether he's right with this prediction or not, I don't know. But I definitely don't want to say, oh, that is so stupid. Like, who would ever predict that we're going to 100 trillion? Which a lot of people out there are doing. And I just feel like you don't actually have the right to do that to someone who's in that position. And he can write whatever he likes, whether it's fact or not fact. But he's not going to come out here and tarnish his reputation unless he thinks there's some element of truth to it. And that's basically what I'm trying to say. That was quite a long-winded way to say that. So let's have a look at some other charts that look pretty exciting. In fact, I'm going to close some tabs. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to look at XRP. I've got one thing I wanted to show you with XRP on Velo. So on the 4-hourly, what we can see is the premium is now negative, and it has been since the 24th. So about a week now on the 4-hourly. So I'm comparing this to potentially this time frame here. And you might laugh and say I'm like being, again, a bit of a moon boy or whatever. But we went green on premium if we look here, just in this area. So I'm showing you at the bottom of the screen, I'm also showing you in price action. And then we actually went red for a bit, and that was when we found our lows. And then as we broke out of this zone, we went back to being green on premium again. And that's what really, well, that isn't what started the rally, but that coincided with the start of this rally from around 50 cents all the way up to around $2.60. Excuse me. So let's see if we could do something similar like that today. When was the last time we were green in the premium? Well, it was on the rally. And now we've had a little bit of a breakout. Look, we had a bit of this breakout. We've come down, consolidated again. We've gone red. So is this next premium turn going to be the whatever brings us fuel to take it up to whatever price targets you think are coming next? I think the next move is like $8 to $12. I'm more realistic that we go higher than people expect on this next move. If we just did a measured move like the last move, it could take us as far out as $15. I don't think that's unreasonable. I know some people are going to troll this video, but I don't think that's unreasonable. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If we look at liquidity, we're going to get into monthly closes and some more XRPTA in a second, but I just want to get these tabs closed because my PC is crying. We've got so much red liquidity above us for ETH, and ETH is something that I'm really watching because obviously it's the largest altcoin. We're going to talk about Bitcoin dominance in a second as well. But I think it's inevitable that ETH takes this liquidity. From here, it's not even a very big move. If we start to break highs, we'll be there in no time. I presume we could be there within a few days, if not a week. Probably more likely days. When we start to get the breakout, it's only 10.9% for us to see that liquidity taken and to set a new, that would be setting a new all-time high. So let's see what happens there. There's not loads to show you on any other crypto apart from, actually, I'm going to take us down to the hourly and just quickly look at Doge because we talked about Doge a little bit recently. And I want to show you that yesterday we took most of the liquidity on Doge in the short term. That's on the 5 minute. Let's get on the hour, which is exciting for anyone who's in the same trade as me. We took most of this liquidity. Look, we took all that red liquidity basically. There's a tiny bit more below us. But again, it depends on what Bitcoin does here. But realistically, I think Doge is getting close to, if not ready to head up. And I'm going to discuss that as well in a second. So there's everything there talked about. And now I want to talk about monthly closes and what I think comes next. So let's have a look at the monthly for Bitcoin. Looked at that. ETH. Wow, this thing looks incredible. Bullish cross on the monthly RSI. Broken out of this downtrend on the monthly RSI. Look, we've had this downtrend we were stuck in. We've broken out of that as well. Fantastic. Price action wise, we need to hold here or higher. A close above this level, the previous monthly close at 377 that came in May of last year, would be super bullish. We'll probably go into all-time highs if we close above this. I wonder where we are in terms of retracement levels. I haven't actually checked that on the larger time frame on ETH. We're at our last retracement level now. Essentially, the 786 is at about $4,000. I think we probably break it this time based on the aggression in this move and the increase that's starting to come in volume for green candles. If you look around other altcoins as well, so let's use XRP, looks bloody fantastic as well. So we had this rally up in 2017, stall out and then continuation. And then in 2018, we basically came down and we've chopped sideways since until late 2024, 6-year consolidation or accumulation. We broke out, we broke all-time highs. We've then held above all-time highs for about 7 months now. And we're retesting and potentially about to set a new all-time high monthly close in the next 13 hours for XRP. And that, to me, spells continuation. And where would I think we continue to? I've told you this. I just showed you. I think we go up to this sort of range here. $15.50, between 8.7 and 15.5. I think that's the next move. And if you actually take a zoomed out perspective on the XRP chart, $15 is only like here. It doesn't look ridiculous. Yes, this is logarithmic, but it doesn't look ridiculous. If we look at the RSI, we're back in the overbought area. When do we start to go crazy? This is the overbought area right here. Then we see significant increase in price. When do we next cross? We cross here, and then the next month is significant increase in price. That month there is, well, to the top is 1,000%, and just to where the monthly closes is about 700%. So 700% from here is a significant increase in price, taking us to $27. I'm not suggesting we do that in a month, but I don't know. The other thing that I would like to point your attention to, guys, is with the RSI here on the monthly, we've got the potential / possibility to do something different here. What a lot of people are going to point to is that the first time we enter the oversold area on the monthly, we have a spike, and then the second time is the top. However, I'm going to throw something into the works here, and it doesn't mean that you need to do anything different with your take profit plan. What we saw back in the 2017 cycle is the most aggressive move for the first part of the rally, and then a bit of a taper off and a less aggressive move, and I'll show you that in percentage. We just said that the other one was 1,000%, so it's 4,000 consolidation, 700. But then we also made a lower high on the RSI on the monthly, actually. So what I'm looking for here is this high wasn't anywhere near as high as it was in 2017. In 2017 we hit 96. So far this cycle we've hit 83. And then even the second time in 2017 we hit like 94. If we make a higher high on the monthly RSI here, to me that doesn't indicate that the move is over. When we start to make a lower high is when you could think, okay, we're waning in momentum. But if we do something like this, there's no reason, if we go like this, there's no let me just make that a bit more clear, sorry, because I've got my pen, not that. I'll just draw that on, there you go. If we do something like that, look, and we go up to this level, and then the price obviously goes with it. For example, let's just say we go somewhere in my target, let's say we go to 12, and then we come back, and I don't know whether come, let's say down to $6, yeah? This comes back down. There is nothing to say that we can't do this, make a lower high on the RSI, and then continue down. But on this lower high, that's where we see waning momentum, just as we had lower highs here in the last cycle. And obviously, you know, I'm awful at drawing freehand, but look, we had lower highs there clearly, And that is nothing to say that we can't do this during that time. Like this sort of price action could squeeze us higher and we have lower highs. There's nothing to say that that isn't possible, okay? That is something that I would be definitely looking for to indicate that maybe the cycle, like that we're coming towards the end of the momentum. So we've looked at Bitcoin, we've looked at ETH, we've looked at XRP. I want to show you XRP against Bitcoin. It's in such a crucial place. I'd love for it to get just a little bit higher so we can close above these wicks, but I don't think it will. But still, monthly close is significantly higher than it has been for years, really. We're going to be closing above everything apart from the last couple of months. It's strong, it's showing strength. We've came down, we've bounced high. We started this move and then we've held an area that was acting as previous resistance and flipped that into now support if we see this continuation. As a lot of people have been talking about, this is a target area. I will show you on XRP Bitcoin. They think that somewhere in here, some people draw like this whole section. I'm personally targeting higher than that. I understand why people are targeting that area. It's a very easy area to target because we're going to hit that, in my opinion, like almost certainly going to hit this area for XRP Bitcoin. Obviously, you can never be certain, but like I'd say I'm very heavily in the camp that we hit that. But what people don't discuss enough is whether we can go higher than that, and I think we do, based on the length of consolidation and the structures I've just showed you on the XRP chart. I think it could go higher than people expect. XRP ETH is losing a little bit of strength so far on the monthly. We've had a bearish cross. It was a parabolic rise. Let's see some consolidation. Are we going to touch this grey box? I don't know what the answer to this question is, and I will get back to that when I have more of a clear view on that. The minute I don't, it's completely neutral for me. I actually genuinely don't know whether we're going to gain or lose against ETH. But XRP dominance is another exciting one. On the monthly, I would like to see us push slightly higher. I've just spat again. Jeez, I'm spitting low today. And close above. Another 5% would be great, which obviously isn't 5% dominance, but 5% increase from where we are. Large volume coming through, holding the middle of the range that we're in at the minute. And it takes the 4 hour just to show you that. Look, we've created this range on top of Wyckoff accumulation, the sign of strength phase. We're now holding the 50% of that range as support, where it was previous resistance. Things are looking good there too. The final few charts I'm going to cover on, I'm just going to touch really quickly. First is Doge. As you guys know, I put a trade on Doge. Been talked about it yesterday for our whole video. Doge could be about to cross bullish on the monthly time frame. The exciting thing about Doge, and we covered it as well in the newsletter, I'm going to show you it in a minute, is when we had this bullish cross last on the monthly for Doge, the first time, this cycle was here. That was at 0.6 cent. And then we rallied to 240% rally. The next time we then had a bullish cross for Doge was here. We're just using the middle of this candle, and we rallied 298% to close, or about 338. And we look like we're about to get one now. And what I said is, could we be looking to make a higher high on the RSI as we get another bullish cross? Well, where would 300 up? It would be probably more than 300% if we wanted to get a higher high on the RSI. My take profit targets for Doge are here, which is only 400% away, which is very much in line with what we've done so far. But there's nothing to say that we can't reach out for something crazy like a $3 Doge. Believe it when you see it. Like, it's gonna be too late by that time, because if we just show you Doge to Bitcoin, as long as history repeats, which I think there's nothing to say it won't, look how fast these moves happen. You can troll, you can say whatever. Like, I don't have any affiliation to Doge apart from this trade. I just think we're at that period in the market where if we start to see some bullish price action, this thing can absolutely send it. It's done it in the past. People come on Coinbase, they look at Doge, they look at Dogecoin, they look at 22 cent, they're like, yeah, let's get a bit of that in my wallet. And I think that's the long and the short of it. And then people who realize that, who have been around for a few cycles, think, oh, people are going to do that, and then they buy it as well, and then that sends the price parabolic essentially. And the final thing I'm just going to touch on is Bitcoin dominance. It's going to take off all my drawings. I think Bitcoin dominance is looking like it's close to, if not has topped. We haven't seen this level of volume in terms of sales or like negative volume since the last high that topped. We also have, for the first time, like realistically, a bearish cross for Bitcoin dominance from the overbought area. We haven't got any historical data showing this happening before. The first time we're seeing that, and significant way down to the oversold. I think people are underestimating how much capital will rotate from Bitcoin this cycle. I've spoken about this before multiple times. I've said, look, I think we're going down to this sort of area at least to sweep the lows for Bitcoin dominance. And that is going to mean and make for the most parabolic altcoin season that we can remember. I think Bitcoin dominance is consolidating, and I think this is also a continuation pattern. Let's see if it breaks the downside when we get that. Lose 60% and we're really on the way. The longer Bitcoin dominance holds, the better realistically, as long as the trend does go the way that I think it will, the better realistically for altcoins and the market in general. If Bitcoin can keep its strength and and capital floods into the market cap of crypto increases. We know that this, if I'm right with this rotation, will happen at some point. The more capital there is to rotate, the larger the pump is going to be over time. So that's where I am. I'm positioned accordingly. I've got little cash again at the minute because I built such a big Doge position. Let's see if I'm right. I'm not always right. We've been absolutely bang on for the last few months with even calling the exact lows for XRP, ETH, ENA 24.5 cent, and it's one of those that's doing extremely well right now. I sold most of my position too early, but I'm not unhappy with it. We made a significant profit. We're at 66 cents in like 3 weeks from when I called the 24.5 cent, which even if you just bought spot, which is what I did, would be a 169% increase. I actually sold about here for a 100% increase. So I've missed out on about another 70% of the position. Not unhappy. Rotated into a Doge position. Let's see what happens next. I'm excited, guys. I think that the market's ready to rip. A lot of things are telling us that. Let's see. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please do subscribe, hit the like button, and comment if you've got any questions below. And please share it with a friend. If you do trade leverage and you want to use any of my affiliate links, I'd appreciate that. I have a link to WEX and MEXC in the description below. Peace up, A-Town down, as Crypto Insight UK would say.